Ray. The one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1. Line drive to base hit. Just as the score of the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead it by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Ford Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is goodbye. Big World Series victory.
The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Racker throws. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them in their faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
Here's the pitch to Willie. Here's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
long drive to left field. Leva. Gets it back.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Hey! Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
All right. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Thursday edition of the program. I am Dan Scott. Good to have you with us on another beautiful day here in the upstate of South Carolina. I don't know if you noticed or not, but the last couple of mornings, it's been not cold and not really what you would call overly cool, but cooler early. Coming out, walking the dogs, getting ready to go to work. Now, the weather people say that this is just a nice little respite and that the warm-up is coming back again. But it's just enough to kind of make you kind of cock your head and say, hey, that's starting to feel a little bit like football weather around here. In the South, they claim to know a lot about football weather, don't they? How's your day going so far? Hope it's going well. If it is, we'll try not to do anything to mess it up. If you're having some issues of one kind or another, who knows? Maybe we can do something to provide you a little bit of a lift. The goal each and every day is to finish the program knowing something we did not know when it started. And yes, it always starts right here in this chair. Coming up today, we have a full show for you. We'll continue the SoCon previews with the Citadel. That will be up first after our first break. And then Scott Keeler will join us via phone to talk some high school football. Also get a little Furman talk from him as well. He was here covering the scrimmage that the Paladins had yesterday, so we'll talk to Scott about that. But week one in the state of South Carolina of high school football action, everybody is playing, and he'll have the highlights of the best games to look forward to this weekend. Normally on Fridays, I'm not going to be here tomorrow, so that's why Scott is in here today. And then Andrew Burr, the women's soccer coach here at Furman, is going to join us in studio around 10:45. They are coming off of an 8-1 victory over North Greenville and hitting the road for the first time this afternoon, in fact, going down to Clinton to play Presbyterian College. So we'll talk to Andrew about the start his team has gotten off to and trying to keep you informed and entertained over the course of this next hour. Of course, there are some things going on around the sporting world that all you can do really is shake your head. I don't have an incredible amount of time to spend on the unmitigated disaster that is Ohio State and Urban Meyer right now. Only thing I will do, I will encourage you, if you have not seen some of the media reports and more importantly, the ones who are sharing excerpts from the Board of Trustees official document concerning their independent investigation into Urban Meyer and the football program over his handling or mishandling, if you will, of assistant coach Zach Smith. You need to go out and read some of that stuff because the verbal gymnastics, or in this case, the printed gymnastics, the Board of Trustees puts in this document to, on one hand, say, yes, Urban Meyer lied, and on the other hand, excuse him for doing so, it is one of the more remarkable things that I've seen in a long time, and I don't mean that in a good way. And as you might imagine, they are getting hammered at every single turn right now. I think maybe the most egregious thing in the entire situation last night, when everything was finally said and done, the Board of Trustees finished meeting, this report was done, they came out and had the press conference, that in the entire press conference, Zach Smith's ex-wife's name was never mentioned until a reporter brought it up at the end. It was mentioned in one question. Of all the apologies that were given, her name was never mentioned, and the focus, which is where this case began, turned on seemingly everything except the domestic violence aspect of it. Now, you look at the litany of allegations, or I guess even stronger than the word allegations, the findings of the behavior of this assistant coach at Ohio State, and you have to wonder, why was he employed in the first place? Why was he still around until late July of this year? Because, I mean, this is a guy, if you read some of the stuff and some of the charges, and in fact, I've got a tweet that I saved, and I wish that I had printed it and put it up on screen, but I'm going to read it to you. This is from Brett McMurphy, who started this entire ball rolling with his story a couple of weeks ago. But here is what Brett McMurphy said, if I can find it up. Here we go. On the OSU findings. This is from, mind you, the document that the Board of Trustees has made available to the public. Zach Smith, quote, promiscuous and embarrassing sexual behavior, drug abuse, truancy, dishonesty, financial irresponsibility, possible NCAA violation, and lengthy police investigation into allegations of criminal domestic violence and cyber crimes, unquote. And yet he was not only not fired, but he wasn't disciplined. One time, there's a record of Urban Meyer telling Zach Smith after he and another assistant coach dropped $600 at a strip club on the road during a recruiting trip or whatever they were on the road for. One time, there's a record of Meyer saying, if you do it again, I'm going to fire you. But what I just read you came from the actual document. And even if the domestic violence allegations were not part of this, even if, as the lawyers of Zach Smith are trying to spin this, that he married the wrong woman and she is vengeful and turning all of this on poor Urban Meyer and poor Ohio State University, even if in some fantasy world that was true, what about all that other stuff? What about that long list of things I just read you before we got to the words domestic violence at the end? Why was he still employed? Bottom line is that Urban Meyer was given a free hand to do what he wanted to do and to run that program the way he wanted to run it. And it's a repeated pattern of behavior. And when he got called on it this time, when the initial report from Brett McMurphy came out, and this is a thing that you really you want to get into somebody's true character and find out, are they actually 100% sorry? Are they really contrite? Or are they just taking this with the proverbial grain of salt? When this report came out and the realization was that McMurphy had been able to get his hands on text messages, Urban Meyer's response to that was to investigate the possibility of making sure that any text messages that may have been sent to or from his phone that were more than a year old were deleted and completely untraceable, even by going into the website or the back-end channels of his carrier's website and service. That was his initial reaction, and when he turned his phone over to the investigation committee, lo and behold, there were no text messages traceable that were a year old or more. So that tells you where his mindset was. No matter what he says, no matter how he tries to spin it, no matter how the Board of Trustees tries to spin it, he was in immediate cover-up mode. What can I do to get rid of any evidence? Instead of being truly sorry, instead of taking responsibility, he went into cover-up mode. Ohio State should have fired him. The Board of Trustees probably should have fired athletic director Gene Smith because he didn't fire Urban Meyer. But instead, 3-game suspension without pay. Oh, by the way, he can coach the team at practice during the week. He can be in the facility. But he'll miss 3 non-conference games. I'm telling you, you need to go and read and spend some time on this report turned in. The verbiage in this report from the Board of Trustees will absolutely blow your mind. It really will. The mental and verbal gymnastics, as I said earlier, that they go through to try to explain some of the behavior, talking about that he had serious memory lapses previously in situations where he had extensive prior knowledge. Can you even string that together and make it sound like an actual sentence? I don't know. The age of true accountability, more often than not, unfortunately, has passed us. And that's why when you see people who are doing it the right way, you really have to appreciate what they're doing. And unfortunately, Urban Meyer and Ohio State ain't doing it the right way. Go out and look at some of that stuff for yourself. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll get you the Citadel preview. And then Scott Keeler will join us on the other side after that. But first, the show is always brought to you by our friends at Carolina Creative. When I needed a website, which has been up and operational for about 4 weeks now, plus other forms of digital marketing and brand strategy help, Randy and his folks there just phenomenal work. The website, as you have seen, hopefully, is a thing of beauty, and it's going to continue to get better. If you haven't seen it, thedanscottshow.com. Please, please, please go spend some time there and share it with your friends. They can do the same thing for you, not just websites, man. They do it all when it comes to brand strategy and marketing. Find out more by calling 250-2012, 250-2012, or you can visit them online at carolinacreative.co. All right, you see it there. Coming up next, the Citadel preview, followed by Scott Keeler, followed by Andrew Burr. We have ourselves a busy, busy show for you today, and we'll get into it when we come back right after this. Dan Scott Show returns in just a moment.
When you go in search of a fence company, what's your criteria? Experience? Trust? A company that gets it right the first time and stands behind its work? Then your search is over. Faulkner Fence has been Greenville's fence company for more than 40 years. Ed Faulkner started the business, and now son Todd continues the tradition of excellence. So regardless of your fencing needs, commercial, industrial, or residential, trust the company that Greenville has trusted for over 4 decades. Faulkner Fence, 864-271-4626, or online at faulknerfencecompany.com.
Dan Scott here for the Atlanta Bread Company. What do I like about Atlanta Bread? Well, too much to mention in a short commercial, but here are a few things. Bread baked daily fresh on site, a tremendous selection of soup, sandwiches, and salads, seasonal special additions to the menu, delicious hot coffee, and a bevy of other drink options, and yeah, can't forget about the baked sweet goodies. Dine in or carry out, and when you have the Atlanta Bread Company app, you can order and pay online, then breeze past the lines to the pickup counter to get your food. Experience it for yourself. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
If you're looking for the perfect frame for that special photo or painting, Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca can deliver for you. Family owned for nearly 4 decades, Trevor and the folks at Custom Corners Frame Shop pride themselves on quality, presentation, and professionalism. They offer picture framing for every budget, and every job is custom. Custom Corners Frame Shop also sells work from local artists as well as locally themed gifts. For more information, visit them at 289 Market Street in Seneca. Call 864-882-7736 or find them on Facebook, Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca.
Hey everybody, Dan Scott here, and I want to tell you about my technology partner, Carolina Creative Group. When my show needed a creative technology boost, I turned to Carolina Creative Group. My custom design website is going to take marketing as well as brand strategy and development to new levels. The search engine optimization means that my clients' ads will be seen by more people more often. And if I have any questions, Carolina Creative Group is just a phone call away. Friends, that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can find out all the ways that Carolina Creative Group can help your business by simply calling 864-250-2012. Again, that's 864-250-2012, or simply visit them online at carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative Group, technology partner of the Dan Scott Show.
For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant more life-changing wishes. Visit Make-A-Wish online now. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
All right, welcome back to the show. I am Dan Scott. If you missed Tuesday's program, you just got a little glimpse of what we did. We announced a partnership with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and I am very excited. Make-A-Wish South Carolina grants wishes about every 48 hours. That's the good news. The bad news is they are going to close this fiscal year with about 200 wishes that to this point have not been able to be granted. Why? Well, funding. They need your help in many ways. And funding doesn't always just include money. It does a lot of times, most of the time. But we're also talking about donating airline miles and donating an automobile that can be sold. So there are a lot of different ways that you can help. Find out more by going to the website you see on your screen right now there at the bottom. See that beautiful, beautiful little child? That is a wish recipient here in the state of South Carolina. sc.wish.org, sc.wish.org/donate, and you will find out much, much more about Make-A-Wish South Carolina. All right, we are going to continue with the SoCon Digital Network's previews of the 2018 college football season. Up now, the Citadel preview, and again, these are all the interviews that we did individually on campus and sent to the network. And I'll apologize up front again, as it was yesterday. The framing of this thing is such, with the technology I have, I can't adjust and get the full screen up for some reason, or at least I haven't figured out how to do it yet. But bottom line is you can see most of what you need to see. You can hear what you need to hear. And right now, here is the preview of the Citadel's upcoming 2018 Southern Conference football season.
Hello and welcome to the Citadel 2018 Southern Conference Football Preview. I'm Danielle Hensley and I'm here with our head coach, Brent Thompson. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. We're a couple days into camp right now. We've got our first day off, so I'm taking care of some administrative things, and the guys are certainly resting and relaxing right now.
All right, well, let's hop right in.
Okay.
Looking at last season, what were some areas that you identified as areas that you want to focus on this preseason to get ready for this upcoming season?
Well, we weren't very productive in the red zone, and our statistics bore that out for us. We were not very good on offense or defense in the red zone, so we focused mostly on that heading into the spring. And a lot of that thing is just about emphasis, what we're going to emphasize all throughout camp, what we emphasized all throughout the spring. And that's one way that we can get better. We also wanted to reestablish our identity as Citadel football. Things that have gotten us to conference championships that we had in 2015 and 2016, and that was playing our brand of football. That was running the ball, establishing our run game, as well as being good on defense, shutting them down, being a bend but don't break, stopping the run on defense.
Right, absolutely. Now on the other side, what were some areas that you thought y'all were really strong in and that you want to continue for success?
Well, I think we did a lot of things. On the offensive side, I thought we did a lot of things where we were exploring with new formations, different sort of plays. So I thought we were going to expand a little bit more on those. We had certain things that we were doing that we really liked. On the defensive side of the ball, we were trying out a couple of new stunts, a couple of new fronts for us, moving around a little bit more than we have in the past. So those are just some things that we've been testing out throughout the spring and fall.
Right. Now, are there any players that you have your eye on that you think are going to take on a larger role this season?
Well, certainly Jordan Black. He came in as mostly a backup off the bench guy for us. Started a couple games in 2015 for us. But, the quarterback position was mostly Dominique Allen for the last 3 years. So we'll have a new quarterback this year. We've also got our B-back position, which is a big spot for us. And Lorenzo Ward solidified that spot towards the end of last year. That spot's been up in the air for us. We've also got a solid offensive line. Tyler Davis has been a solid on there for 3 years, so we're pretty good on those guys. Defensively you'll see more from our defensive line, guys like Jalen Williams, who had a great year last year, Ken Allen, who had a good year last year. Those guys will continue to make more plays, but the guy on the defensive side of the ball, I think, is Willie Eubanks, is that you haven't seen at linebacker as much. We think he's going to make a great impact, and then on the back end is Aaron Spann. Aaron's been a great defensive guy for us for the last 3 years.
Awesome. Now we've made it through summer. Camp has started. What are your initial thoughts on this group as a whole?
It's a different bunch of guys than I had last year, that's for sure. They are. I thought they had a great summer workout. They're not quite as outgoing as the last 2 groups that I've had, but they are together as a team like no other team that I've had in a long time. They are a little bit more on the quiet side. When they go out to practice, they're very business oriented, but I think it's a tight-knit group of guys, and they have been since they came in as freshmen.
Right. And talking about some freshmen, we have a new class coming in. What are your thoughts on them, getting to see them work out and get some pads on?
We had 1 day of full pads on them, and I like what I've seen out of about a handful of guys so far. Clay Harris sticks out at the B-back spot. He's pushing for that backup B-back role right now, and he's got a pretty good chance there. I like what he's done. I also like the things that I've seen on some of our freshman defensive linemen. Mason Kinsey at defensive end, as well as Marquise Blunt. They've done really well on the defensive side.
Right. Now looking at the graduated class of 2018, what do you think was the biggest void that needed to be filled?
Kali Williams at safety is Defensive Player of the Year, All-Conference player last year. Was injured last year, unfortunately. We suffered a little bit of a setback. We suffered some of our edge on defense when he wasn't in there in the last portion of the year. So I think he's going to be the biggest spot to fill on that side of the ball. Offensively, of course, it'll be Dominique as the play caller. And Dominique had a good sense of what plays needed to be ran and what plays needed to be checked.
Right. Now, what are your thoughts on the schedule for this season? Do you think the non-conference slate prepares you for conference games?
Well, I like the fact that we start off with 2 conference games, and we did that 2 years ago with Mercer and Furman. I think it puts a little bit of extra emphasis on your fall camp. There's not a whole lot of time to waste. We can't sit back and have a game that we think we should win at the beginning of the year. Every game at the beginning of the year for us counts now. As far as our non-conference schedule is concerned, I like the fact that we've got Charleston Southern back on the schedule. That's a local rivalry for us. I pushed our last AD, Jim Center, to get them back on. It's a great crowd. That's a great football program that they've got up there. That's just good for low country football. And then, of course, at the end of the year, we've got a non-conference with Alabama, which I also pushed for. I thought that would be a great atmosphere. I've never been there. I've never played there. But I think it would be a great opportunity for our players to play in front of that kind of an atmosphere.
Right, absolutely. Now, 3 teams made the postseason last year. What are you expecting out of the conference this season?
Every week we know is going to be difficult. And there's teams that were maybe in the mid to the bottom of the pack last year will be somewhere mid to the top of the pack this year. And that's where I think this conference has gotten to be extremely tough. And 2 years ago, we saw that coming when ETSU came back into the league. ETSU is not going to be long before they're going to be at the top of the conference as well. Mercer the same way. When they came into the league, they're going to start to be at the top of the conference. So week in and week out, it'll be very difficult to go through this conference undefeated.
Right. Now, last question for you, Coach, and it's twofold. What is a personal goal that you have set for yourself this season? But also, what is the goal for the team as a whole?
Well, we want to get back to the playoffs. For me, it's getting back to consistency. We were very, very disappointed in 5 and 6 last year. I was disappointed in the way that we ended the year. And I took a lot of the blame for that myself. We didn't come to play in certain games, and I wanted to make sure that as a goal that my guys are ready to play every single game. And I've made it aware, and I've made them aware of the fact that if you don't come to play, we end up getting beat pretty badly. So we better make sure that we come to play every day.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Danielle.
Up next, we have junior quarterback Jordan Block talking about this upcoming season. Stay tuned. More SoCon football coming up. Hey, now I am joined with our junior quarterback, Jordan Black. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. It's pretty good to sit in here with you and AC.
Yeah, I'm glad. Tell me, how has the summer been? What has camp been like?
Oh man, camp's been crazy. Coach been from day one. He's been high. He's been intense. It's been really intense. Coach is making sure we're getting back to our old style of ball. So everything's ramped up. We got high energy everywhere.
Awesome. Now, you started some games last year, but how will this season look different for you as the primary starting QB?
Well, you know, last year I got a little time here and there. We had to switch out because we had a 2-quarterback system. But this year it's now all on me. I'm the guy that everybody's looking up to. So now I have to make sure that I can be physically prepared for a whole game and as well as mentally prepared for a whole game. So I've been preparing and working myself towards that goal. So it's going to be a little bit different this year.
Right. And what are some personal goals that you've set for yourself for this season?
For me, I really just want to make sure that I come out and be the guy that my guys can look to because now I'm in more of a leadership role. So I really want to lead my team and make sure that everything's squared away. And I just really want to make sure that we focus week to week and really get down to our fundamentals so we can prepare for each game each week in order to win.
Right. And you just mentioned you're kind of taking on this leadership role. What does it take to be a leader on this team?
Well, it's a lot of things that go into it, but for me, I just try to make sure I'm the same guy all around, on and off the field, that the guys look at. When they see me, they see I'm doing the right thing, or I'm always giving the right amount of effort, and I'm never slacking off, because if the guys look at me and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, that's just contagious. So I want to make sure that our team is squared away when we're doing all things together.
Right. Now let's talk about the offense as a whole. What is y'all's primary goal for this season?
This season is time for us to get back to our style of play. Last year we really didn't focus in a lot. We have some penalties here and there. We missed some blocks here and there. This year we're really focused on just getting back to Citadel football and making sure our fundamentals are straight, attention to detail, and just the little things to make sure that they don't explode when we're in serious games.
Right.
All right, that's a look at the Citadel. Interesting, Jordan Black talking about getting some playing time here or there. If you remember the Citadel game here at Paladin Stadium last year, he basically played 3 1/3 quarters once the Paladins jumped out to a multi-touchdown lead. They basically had to abandon the option, and he was the guy who ran the show for most of the time. So it'll be interesting to see. He was the better thrower of the two. It'll be intriguing to see how he runs that Citadel option. But there's a look at as the older folks around here like to call them, the bellhops. This is the Dan Scott Show. When we come back, Scott Keeler will join us via phone, and we'll talk some high school football, a little bit of Furman as well, and then Andrew Burr joins us at 10:45. This is the Dan Scott Show. I just said that, didn't I? We'll be back in just a moment after a quick word from, among others, Premier Auto Motivations.
Looking for a great car, but your credit needs work? Premier Auto Motivations is a professional referral service motivated to help you drive a car you love while rebuilding your credit. Late model cars of all kinds. Premier Auto Motivations can get you on the road and your credit on the road to recovery today. Serving all of upstate South Carolina, it's Premier Auto Motivations. Call Sherry today at 864-722-3785 or email cricketgravely@gmail.com.
The Walk a Mile Project is a 501c3 nonprofit Christian humanitarian aid organization whose goal is to organize, build, and invest in ways to meet the physical needs of impoverished communities around the world. What do? They encourage and equip groups on how to prepare for a mission trip, how to get there, how to form a trip, and how to raise funds. Then the Walk a Mile Project teaches groups how to build houses, conduct medical clinics, feed a village, you name it. Find out how you can partner with one of their mission trips or set up one of your own. Visit their website, thewamproject.org, thewamproject.org for more information. That's the Walk a Mile Project.
If you're looking for the perfect frame for that special photo or painting, Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca can deliver for you. Family owned for nearly 4 decades, Trevor and the folks at Custom Corners Frame Shop pride themselves on quality, presentation, and professionalism. They offer picture framing for every budget, and every job is custom. Custom Corners Frame Shop also sells work from local artists as well as locally themed gifts. For more information, visit them at 289 Market Street in Seneca. Call 864-882-7736 or find them on Facebook Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca.
When you're looking for the home of a lifetime, you need a realtor you can trust. With more than 27 years experience selling real estate, Gel Sartain is the choice to help the discriminating buyer find the home of their dreams. Licensed in both South Carolina and Georgia, Gel specializes in homes on beautiful lakes Hartwell and Kiwi, as well as the surrounding areas, and has a wealth of experience working with people with technical backgrounds. Now is the time to buy, sell, and invest in real estate in the Clemson-Seneca area. Let Gail help you realize that dream today. Call her at 404-317-3171. That's Gail Sartain, a member of the National Association of Realtors. All right, we welcome you back to the show. You saw the contact information there, the new website, thedanscottshow.com. Hustle out there and register to win tickets to see the Marshall Tucker Band. We'll be giving those away on Monday, and that is August the 30th at TD Stage, the outdoor concert area at the Peace Center. Thedanscottshow.com. Get there and check it out. Before we go to the celebrity guest line, just a quick reminder about Hall's Chop House, downtown Greenville, the Greenville Steakhouse. You have to start with the steaks. I mean, that's why it's the steakhouse, man. The Allen Brothers Prime Steaks out in Chicago, that's where the menu starts. Everything falls into place there. But as I've been telling you and will continue to tell you, the most impressive thing to me in watching and going there and eating and enjoying everything they have to offer is the place is slammed. I mean, it is just absolutely packed all the time. And yet they have a way of making you and your table feel like you're the most important one in the building. And that is a tremendous amount of not just training, but dedication on the part of Billy and the people who work for him there at Hall's Chop House. So when you go, expect to get that kind of treatment. You can go for lunch now on Saturdays and Fridays and Saturdays, in fact, and brunch on Sunday. Live music every time the doors are open. It is Hall's Chop House, the Greenville Steakhouse. You are absolutely going to love it. All right, let's go, as I mentioned, to the celebrity guest line, and this line of conversation has been approved by the express written consent of Major League Baseball, as Scott Keeler told me on the phone just a moment ago. But he is here to talk a little high school football, maybe some Furman stuff as well. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. High school football is really in your wheelhouse, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, it's something that just kind of, I don't know, it kind of infused in me really after I got out of high school, because I went to Hillcrest, and that was basically just something we did until basketball season started there.
I understand.
But, yeah, I don't know what it is, but it just is, something about it is still pure as compared to some college football programs that we've already discussed today.
Yeah, and just one of several we could have discussed
today. Exactly.
Well, last week was week 0. I try very hard to avoid week 0, so this is week 1 in the state of South Carolina, and we've got some, as always, before you get into conference play, or district or area, whatever they call it in the state of South Carolina. That's how long I've been out of high school football.
Region.
There we go. Of all the words I had, I the one word I left out. We get some pretty intriguing non-region matchups. Let's talk about Spartanburg at Greer tonight.
Yeah, tomorrow night. Yeah,
tomorrow
night. It's really kind of a neat thing too. A lot of the teams around here will concentrate on playing other good teams to get ready for that region schedule, which sometimes is not as good as the non-region, just because of geography. But yeah, Spartanburg Greer tomorrow night. They haven't met on the field since 1975.
Really?
And yeah, a lot of history, obviously, among these two programs. And tomorrow, tomorrow should be a great matchup, especially having not played in 40-something years. A lot of talent on that field. Greer lost last week to Burns, but that's another talented team that Greer rival. And yeah, Spartanburg will make the trek over to Greer tomorrow evening, and should be a great game.
Speaking of Burns, they're hosting Northwestern.
Yeah, that's always a tussle. Northwestern lost to South Point last week, but there's really no shame in that. South Point, is just probably the most dominating bunch in the state the last few years. But that's always a good game. Burns got off to it. Like I said, they beat Greer last week without one of their star linebacker, Jalen Miller, who is committed to Furman, and they also lost their running back during the game, but still managed to pull out a win over Greer, which is impressive. So that should be another good one tomorrow.
And then the other game you're kind of highlighting is Gaffney heading on the road to Greenwood.
Yeah, and it's been a while since they've played. Obviously, a lot of old school fans may remember Gaffney Greenwood from an unfortunate incident with a tear gas bomb was set off one year back in the 80s, and they had to evacuate, call off the game and evacuate the stands. I believe that game was in Gaffney, but Gaffney will make the trip to Greenwood tomorrow. Again, just to, the Blue Bloods when it comes to tradition in South Carolina football. A whole lot of state championships between those two programs, and they're both really loaded with talent. And Gaffney's running back is Peanut Kirby, a little guy, but he'll bring a fight, and he's tough to find and tackle. He's a special player for Gaffney.
Visiting with Scott Keeler, talking some prep football, looking at games tomorrow. Those are the three you highlighted. Any other games of any kind of interest?
Yeah, there's always Hillcrest Malden, Battle of the Golden Strip rivals. Newberry is going to play at Abbeville tomorrow. That's another two programs that are really top notch. And Boiling Springs at Westside ought to be an intriguing battle as well.
Scott, before we let you go, people know, or at least should know, I hope they know, that you are also the purveyor of the Furman Sports Report, which they can only get at your site, and they can also get to it multiple places on my new site, thedanscottshow.com. You were here yesterday for Furman's scrimmage. You have seen multiple scrimmages this year. What have you seen from Clay Hendricks' team so far?
I saw the first practice and the two scrimmages, and I'm not sure Coach Hendricks was particularly pleased with the scrimmages as he's been with the practices. So it's been kind of a defensive dominated type of deal, and I think that's actually you can always look at glass half full or glass half empty, but with the experience gained last year, the defense is still going to be young, but I've been impressed with what I've seen defensively. And each time one of the new quarterbacks, we kind of know what Harris Roberts can do, and he's in his limited play. But at different times, something one of the freshman quarterbacks has done has kind of caught my eye. It's going to be who can do it the most consistently to obviously separate themselves. But just really impressed, and in particular in the things I've seen with the freshman Darren Granger. His tallness is one thing. He's 6'4", and he just throws a nice ball, and can also has a nice initial burst of speed. Jamar Lincoln's also fast, and if you ask people that have been there at each practice, Ham Simpson, another freshman quarterback, has really looked impressive, and obviously Harris Roberts has the experience. So you might see a lot of guys play before it's all settled, actually.
There's a wide receiver that's been catching the eyes of people. Matter of fact, I talked to Brian Bratton, the wide receivers coach, in the dining hall yesterday, and Brian was very careful to try to temper his enthusiasm about this kid. DeJuan Bell, is that the name?
Yes, DeJuan Bell. He accounted. There wasn't a whole lot of big plays in yesterday's scrimmage, but he accounted for the biggest. It was a really beautifully designed play as Jamar Lincoln faked the pitch to his left, rolled out to his right, and hit Bell on a little screen pass that he turned into about a 50-yard gain. And again, speed. Bell's 5'9", freshman, but he's very fast. And on the depth chart that Coach Hendricks announced yesterday, he's actually listed as one of the starting kickoff return men. So that's not surprising.
Which is a place where they could use some big play potential based on what we've seen the last couple of years. Yeah, no question.
Exactly.
Well, Scott, I know that the coverage has begun. Tell people again where they can find it, whether the high school stuff, the Furman stuff. You're doing it all.
Yeah. My high school stuff. I'm going to be covering Gaffney at Greenwood for the Spartanburg Herald tomorrow. It's been a really awesome experience, freelance work for them, and obviously the Furman stuff at FurmanSportsReport.com. Sometimes you might have to put the www in front of it. I'm going to try to get that worked out by the time the season starts. But it's FurmanSportsReport.com. Wife had a birthday yesterday that kind of put a little delay on this scrimmage report, and there wasn't honestly a whole lot to it. They worked on just it wasn't an actual what you think of usually when you think of scrimmage. They worked on more situational type stuff. So not a lot to report there, but I am working on something currently that I'll have out later this morning about it. So. Yeah,
and we'll just remind people again, you can go to thedanscottshow.com and right at the top.
Thank you so much.
Right at the top or on the resource page, you can get to FurmanSportsReport.com. Hey, Scott, good stuff, man. We'll look forward to doing it again next week.
Yep, we'll see you next week now.
All right, that is Scott Keeler, high school football reporter, Furman Sports Report, and Cleveland Indians fan. When we come back, we're going to talk some soccer, some football, if you will. The undefeated and high-scoring Furman women's soccer team getting ready to go on the road for the first time, and Andrew Burr is going to tell us about that when we return. This is the Dan Scott Show Thursday edition, and we're back in just a moment. Hey, everybody, Dan Scott here, and I want to tell you about my technology partner, Carolina Creative Group. When my show needed a creative technology boost, I turned to Carolina Creative Group. My custom design website is going to take marketing as well as brand strategy and development to new levels. The search engine optimization means that my clients' ads will be seen by more people more often. And if I have any questions, Carolina Creative Group is just a phone call away. Friends, that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can find out all the ways that Carolina Creative Group can help your business by simply calling 864-250-2012. Again, that's 864-250-2012, or simply visit them online at carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative Group, technology partner of the Dan Scott Show.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Hey, everybody, Dan Scott. You know, I've been telling you for some time now that I switched to protection of my home and family to Security Complete. I can tell you that I've been ecstatic with the results. Locally owned with more than 40 years experience in the industry, Security Complete uses nothing but the latest technology, which equals low overhead, which equals greater savings to the customer. Fully automated systems with monitoring rates much lower than the competition. Security Complete gives you all this and does not require a contract of any length. Find out more by calling 864-546-0630 or find them on Facebook and Twitter. Security Complete, my first line of defense. Make them yours today. All right, welcome back to the Dan Scott Show. It's final segment of the show, and actually, because I'm not going to be here tomorrow, final segment of the week, so I should have done this. Because I do this on Fridays. It's a long-standing thing back from the old days of the radio show. Final segment of the week. This builds up, gets to a certain point, and then I go. 10:47, and down the stretch we come. But I didn't do that. I forgot because it's Thursday.
Stick with tradition, Dan.
Yeah, or something. How you doing, man? Let me turn your microphone up a little bit there.
I'm good. I'm very good. It's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Greenville, South Carolina.
It is.
I'm always excited about your view. That's the only reason I come up here, by the way.
I know. It has nothing to do with me.
Is to get the view of Paladin Stadium and Paris Mountain in the backdrop there. It's beautiful.
You have become, I have to say this, you have become quite the cynical individual. I think it's because you spend too much time with Chris Paris.
Oh, goodness. Chris Paris. I think he thinks he's French with his last name, Paris. So I call him Frenchie. He's our sports medicine trainer.
Yes.
He is one of a kind, and he will appreciate the shout out that he's getting right now.
Yeah, he may not appreciate what we're shouting about, but just the fact that we mentioned his name. So far so good. Out of the season, still undefeated. That's always a good thing.
That is a good thing. We had Richmond come into town and played very well against them, won 3-1, and that was a good result for us. Scored 3 goals in the first 30 minutes and kind of jumped on top of them. And then we played on Monday against North Greenville University and won 8-1. So one of the questions that you and I had a week ago when we were talking was where are the goals going to come from? We went down to Clemson, played them 0-0 in an exhibition, played Elon 0-0 in an exhibition, and I'll be honest, I didn't know where the goals were going to come from. Well, they came from a lot of different people, which is great news for us. In the 8-1 game, of our 8 goals, freshmen accounted for half of them. 4 of the 8 goals came from freshmen. So we're starting to figure out our identity and what the character is going to be and who the leaders are going to be and who the goal scorers are going to be. And that's what this non-conference season is really all about.
Yeah. And of course, as long as you've been doing this, I'm not telling you anything that you don't know. But you can do all of the situational scrimmaging. You can do all of the inter-squad scrimmaging and things you want. Sometimes you just don't get answers until the lights go on for real.
You are so true. It's just game day situations, game day excitement. Who is ready for game day? And we got some kids in training that don't look great, but when the lights are on and the opening whistle blows, they're ready. So you're absolutely right, and that has been the case for every sport for as long as time, is that you don't know who's going to show up for games until the whistle blows.
And doesn't that drive a coach crazy? Because I've heard it over the years, whether it's a football player or a basketball player, and the coach will say, he's just not a good practice person.
Yeah.
But when the game starts, everything comes together. That's got to drive a coach nuts.
It does, and it makes us nervous. Stephanie DeVita, who graduated 2 years ago, but was the South Carolina Gatorade Player of the Year 3 years in a row, coming out of Hillcrest High School. Big-time recruit for us. She showed up for the first week of preseason, and I remember looking at assistant coach April Raymer saying, oh, my goodness, is this the kid that we recruited? I mean, she was good, but she really just blended in. She was nothing special. If you were to watch our training session for a full week, you would never be able to pick out who Stephanie DeVita was. Mm-hmm. We opened with Clemson in front of 3,000 people. She scores the game-winning goal against Clemson on our home field. And we looked at each other and said, oh, okay, now we understand. Now we get it. She was one of those players that just stepped up at the big moments. And we're starting to see that a little bit with our current roster now that some players are starting to step up.
The trick for a coach, though, is because you hang your hat, which, by the way, is a tennis hat today, but you hang your hat on the idea that how you perform in practice is going to determine how you play, how much you play. That's when you earn playing time. So when you've got someone who kind of falls into that other category, it tests your mettle, I would imagine, not only with yourself, but also with some of the credibility with the other players.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's always been a tricky situation because we live in a world now where, well, if I try hard and I show up every day and give my best effort, then I should automatically get playing time. And that's just not the way it works. Right. You may be trying to max out and playing as well as you can play, and it still might not be good enough for what we're looking for. Then you may have another person that it may not be able to give everything during training sessions. We see a lot as our players mature and as they take ownership, as they become seniors and their bodies start to wear down. We'll have players that literally play on Friday night, they play on Sunday afternoon, and then they take kind of Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday off because physically what they're doing for those 2 games, if you're playing Clemson on a Friday and Vanderbilt on a Sunday, well, if you're a 22-year-old, your body needs some rest. You might not train Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Well, how do you balance that with the other players that are training Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, still not playing on Friday, and that same player then is playing again on Friday night? But it's that professionalism that we're looking for that says, you know what? As long as you're preparing yourself mentally and physically for every single game, there might be some players that take some practices off, and that's just life.
Yeah, sometimes physical preparation is actually resting up so you're physically ready to play.
Yep. We've got a new system. It's called Viper, and Dr. Ben Snyder, who is in our health sciences department, all of our players wear Viper equipment now. So it's heart rate monitor. It's a GPS monitor that measures workload, sprints, distance traveled, max heart rate, all kinds of information. So we now have data that comes back on every single player after every single practice that says, here's how hard player 1 through 32, here's how hard they're working. Here's how we monitor their workload. Here's what they're doing on Friday and Sunday. This is why they might need some time off. We're able to monitor their minutes and their mileage, and that's made a huge difference. And that's a great program we've done with our health sciences department. We call that the Ferment Advantage, I believe.
Yes.
We call that engaged learning, but it's all about working with different departments, and they're thrilled. Our health sciences department is thrilled with doing this project. So it's fun working with that group.
This is Andrew Burr. He's the women's soccer coach here at Furman. They're getting ready to head on the road for the first time this evening down to Presbyterian. More about that in just a moment. You mentioned the 2 regular season wins so far, 3-1 at home over Richmond, 8-1 at home over North Greenville. Averaging through 2 games, 24 shots a game. What will that number kind of settle into based on past history once you get into the teeth of your schedule?
Yeah, I think once we, once we get into the teeth of it, as we increase the level of competition, it'll certainly decrease. But we're an explosive team. We're a team that loves to keep possession, so we can get forward, so we can create chances. So getting a lot of shots off in a game is something that we do. That's not a fluke for us. We encourage people to come out to see us play because we're actually a fun team to watch. If you came on Monday, you would have seen 8 goals, and it's fun. There are some great goals, some nice celebrations. When we play Kentucky, will we get 24 shots? Probably not, but we're still going to attack, and we're going to play Kentucky the exact same way we played our first 2 games, which is put 3 players up top and run at them and try to score goals.
Not everybody has that philosophy in this game.
No. You've been around a few 0-0 games, or as Doug Allison would say, 0-0 games.
0-0, yes. The Englishman among us.
Yeah. There's that theory of, hey, let's park the bus is one of the terms that's used right now. Park the bus, put it right in front of the goal. Let's bunker in. Let's get 5-6 defenders. Let's play for a free kick. Let's play for a corner kick. And that's just not our style. And part of that's just me being selfish. If I'm going to be around this game all day long, I want it to be exciting and fun. I don't want to play a defensive style of soccer that is trying to play for a 0-0 game. That's just not the way we operate.
So let's talk about the first road trip. It's not one that you're incorporating any overnight stays or anything like that, but still going on the road for the first time to Presbyterian for a 7 o'clock game this afternoon. So be a new experience for your young players. Yeah, and that's always good to get off campus, get on the bus, get in that game day routine. We'll go visit our friend Jeff Massey at 3 o'clock for our pregame meal at Atlanta Bread Company. That guy makes a good sandwich, by the way. He does.
Oh.
Matter of fact, I'm having lunch there with a friend of mine today at noon.
It's the perfect spot to be. So that routine is nice.
This is not a paid announcement, by the way.
No. Yeah, you're right. Something about getting on the bus, getting mentally prepared for a game. That's all part of it, and that's great for our freshmen to be a part of that. What does the bus ride look like? What is the visitors team? How do we act? How to react to different environments and all that. So we're looking forward to this trip. It'll be a test. Brian Purcell has been down at PC for close to 30 years now and has done a great job at that program. We have a lot of players on that roster that we know. He has a lot of South Carolina kids on the roster, and we're very familiar with them. So it should be a good matchup tonight.
Then you have the final dynamic that'll really affect, maybe not the final dynamic, the next dynamic that'll affect your young kids for the first time. After the game tonight, 8 days between games, and that's because, by the way, class starts next week, right?
I know it. I think our players are a little bit spoiled right now. They feel like professional athletes.
Right.
They eat, they sleep, they play soccer. that is literally all they have to do. And that's nice. So it will be a little bit of a rude awakening, but I think they're excited about getting some more people on campus, a little bit more activity. I mean, they're in some dorms right now that they're completely alone on a hall, so it's nice to get some activity back on campus. And for us to settle in academically will be nice. We're certainly keeping busy. Obviously, between our schedule, we had a group of girls that went to Greenville Hospital System last night to make some rounds with some kids that have some illnesses, and it's wonderful to see. We kind of say, our players are going that to put a smile on their face, on these kids' faces. It's the total opposite. Our girls love it. So we're doing that. We're having different meetings on campus. We have our the heart rate monitor program that we're doing. So we are keeping busy. But yes, school will start next week, and they'll have to buckle down.
So then the next home game is the 31st against Kennesaw State. That's 7 o'clock on a Friday night, and then turn around on Sunday and host Campbell here. So that after that first week of school, you have some folks looking for an outlet. You got the football opener right in the middle, so there'd be plenty of opportunity for people to see some soccer, some football.
Yep.
In bracketing the football.
Yes, I think that you worded that so well. It'll be nice to have everybody back on campus, and then Friday, Sunday, and then a road trip. I'm assuming a lot of students are going to head down to Clemson. We're playing the Clemson Tigers, correct?
I heard that.
I'm familiar. So that'll be a great weekend, kind of the opening weekend of getting people on campus. And really, you talk about athletics and what athletics does for a campus. It's an immediate way to get people involved with the Furman community. So yeah, we're excited about getting some people out for that. So it should be a good matchup.
Tonight, 7 o'clock, folks can watch it via ESPN Plus, which is the new platform where they're taking over all of college athletics. I think it's a $4.99 a month subscription fee, so the ESPN3 aspect of it is kind of going by the wayside, but it is available on ESPN Plus. We'd love to see, though, fans just load up. It's a short trip to Clinton and go down and watch it in person.
We would love it. We always appreciate the support.
All right, so I'll try to make sure that Jeff has everything ready to go. I'll supervise that the preparation of that pregame meal for you.
He is a sandwich maker. He is on it.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Dan.
That is Andrew Burr, and that is today's show. Again, I'll remind you, go out to the website, thedanscottshow.com. Register to win tickets to see the Marshall Tucker Band on the 30th at the TD stage, the outdoor arena at the Peace Center. We'll be drawing that winner on Monday and actually have the tickets right there. So they're right here in studio, and we'll just be dropping them in the mail to whoever wins. TheDanScottShow.com, and you can find all sorts of other good information there, including Scott Keeler's Furman Sports Report as well. Have yourself a great rest of your week and weekend, and we'll be back with you on Monday morning. Until then, for Coach Burr and for everybody, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you. So long, everybody. We'll talk to you on Monday morning.